Hello, friends, comrades, fellow travelers, working people of America. We are here today with an emergency stream because of an emergency situation that we've been expecting and preparing for the last few months. We've done multiple streams on the potential coming invasion of Venezuela, and now we have not a full on invasion, but the kidnapping of the Venezuelan president and bombs dropped on Caracas. So officially boots on the ground. And I think probably most interestingly and most tellingly, Trump has said that the U.S. will in fact occupy Venezuela, that the U.S. will be running Venezuela for now, which means they're going to be constantly running Venezuela because just like Iraq, the country doesn't want this. The country rejects this. The country had picked Maduro as their leader. They don't want to have some U.S. puppet dictator installed. The people would again vote for another socialist, which the U.S. won't accept. So they're going to find themselves in yet another disastrous, endless occupation, where if they leave, they're either not getting their strategic goals met or the country will be left in utter chaos, like what happened in Libya. So it's tragic, and we've seen this pattern play out many times. So we can sort of use what we've learned in the past to predict what's going to happen here or what could possibly happen here. But none of it is good. All of it will be a disaster. And Trump has proven himself to be a scammer and a liar. He's scammed the American people as if they were, cattle, literally. Promising to release the Epstein files and then covering them up because he's a pedo himself, promising not to be George W. Bush and then kidnapping the president of Venezuela, just as George W. Bush did in 2002, promising not to start any new forever wars and then saying we will occupy Venezuela indefinitely. Every promise that he made to you, the American people, he's gone back on because that is his character. He's a liar. He's a disgusting freak of a man, and he's not the problem, but he's a symptom. Donald Trump is the symptom of U.S. empire and decay, and I'll let Carlos take it here before I say too much. But this is something the U.S. empire has been trying to do for decades now. They've been trying to covertly overthrow the government of Venezuela by putting them under economic siege, flooding them with propaganda and U.S. NGOs, and funneling money into the far-right Venezuelan opposition while trying to orchestrate coups. And all of this has failed. It has failed. Time and time again, the Venezuelan people have sided with socialism and have sided with the Socialist Party, the pro-Palestinian, pro-working class Socialist Party in their country against these U.S.-backed opposition forces. So now Trump is just ripping the mask off of the U.S. empire, the soft power, and showing you what's really behind these economic sanctions and these coup efforts, which is the might of the U.S. military. So the empire is in desperate straits. It needs oil to continue funding the proxy war in Ukraine and Russia that Trump also promised he would stop. And they are desperate for it, which is why we're seeing such a desperate, heinous action that will surely lose Trump popularity with the American people, especially as this war goes as disastrously as we know it will.
Which was one of the themes of the conversation that you, myself, and Noah had on RBN, on Nick Cruz's show, how it was that the Democrats were in many ways a more effective evil because Trump rips the mask off of imperialism. Imperialism always needs these lies that are presented as the real justifications for what are in reality reasons that are rooted in basic political economy and the economic interests of the class that actually dominates the country, which is the ruling capitalist class, the financial capitalist class, the big banksters, the investment firms, the big oil companies, the military-industrial complex, etc., which are the people that are politicians in the last instance end up representing and being the servants of. And Trump rips the mask off, and what he does is make transparent the operations of empire, and that makes it easy for a lot of people to see what's actually going on. And as we have been discussing for weeks, perhaps a couple months now, since he's been escalating this 25 plus year long war on Venezuela, because the war on Venezuela started in 1999 when they affirmed their sovereignty with Hugo Chavez's democratic election and coming to power. This escalation, the whole time, one of the things that we have been trying to emphasize is that it's a war on sovereignty itself. It's rooted in the US's need to get a hold of Venezuela's oil, but implied in that is the question of political sovereignty. Are people going to be able to be free to affirm their own destiny, to self-determine themselves and be autonomous? Or are they going to have every single policy, economic, cultural, social, etc., dictated from Washington and for Washington's interests? I think that's the question that is really at stake here. It's the question of sovereignty, not just Venezuela's sovereignty, but sovereignty as a whole. That's why everyone is threatened by this. Anyone who align themselves with multipolarity, which in essence is a world that tries to have as its fundamental common denominator the respect for sovereignty. Anyone who aligns with that vision of a world that's more progressive than the current unipolar imperialist world dominated by U.S. hegemonism that we have right now. It's not communism, but it's much more progressive than what we have right now. Anyone who identifies with that should feel like what happened in the early mornings of today was a hit against them, because it was. It wasn't just a hit against Venezuela, it was a hit against them. It was a hit against the American working class, 70+% of whom said, we don't want this war. And now they're faced with the consequences of this war. So.
Absolutely. I agree with everything you said, and I have a lot more to say about it too. And I already see some comments that I want to respond to, like this one about the anti-Maduro leftists and others. And we'll also talk about some of these pseudo anti-establishment right-wingers who are either cheering on the war or flip-flopping wherever the wind blows. So we'll discuss that and the future of this regime change war and Venezuelan socialism right after the intro. I played the wrong intro.
Would you have freedom from wage slavery and join in the grand industrial band? Would you from misery and hunger be free and come to your share like a man? There is power in a band of working men. That's some power that must rule in every land. Would you have mansions of gold in the sky and a living shack way out in the back? Would you have wings up in heaven to fly and starve here with rags on your back? There is power in a band of working men. That's a power that must rule in every land. If you had enough of the blood of the lamb, then join the grand industrial band. If you'd rather feast off your own land, then come do your share like a man. There's power in a band of working men. There's power from every land, then join the grand and I then our share of this earth we shall demand. Come and do your share like a man. There is power, there is power in a band of working men. There is power, there is power that rule in every land. There is power, there's this power that rule in every land.
Fuck yeah.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
so sick.
Jesus kills it. I get so fucking mad when people are like, AI is not art. I mean, go ahead and fucking do that. Try it. That takes so much skill. It took so much time. I mean, Jesus Motorcycle, I almost called him by his actual name, is one of the most talented artists I think I've ever met. That was beautiful. By the way, it's not a cult of personality fucking thing. I know there are people asking, where's Eddie? It's intended to be for my own show, which I already recorded the first episode of. But funny story, the person that I recorded a philosophy interview with ended up not wanting to air it because we're not pro-Ukraine and we're pro-Stalin. So it was the ultimate form of retardation. So I'll have to try again and see if I can find another first interviewee. But the intention of the show is to be a mixture of philosophy and geopolitics. I don't just want to be purely geopolitics. So that's what ended up happening. But I hope you guys liked the intro. I thought it was beyond anything I could have imagined. Could have been made for the show. So shout out to Jesus Motorcycle.
I had never seen it before. So that was my first time watching. I'm reacting with you all. I love it. Now Jesus is super busy. You know, I obviously work with him in the media team, so I always try to direct his talents towards ACP stuff. But now I feel like I got to ask him for my own intro. I don't know how long it would take, but that's so cool. I need one of those.
It makes me
I
want to
love
start
that.
riding a motorcycle, man. Honestly, I feel like I have to live up to the AI version of myself in that video.
You do, yeah. Now you have to. You gotta buy a hog. I'm sure your wife will love that. I see Lulu the Proletarian here saying anti-Maduro leftists are pissing us off. And I bring this up because Carlos was in Venezuela. So
Yep.
he can tell you a little bit about the Communist Party of Venezuela that these people support, because it's a total joke. It's a sham. It's basically a psyop. And any leftists who are falling into it are those who are just so individualistic that they're just trying to be the most left, to out left everyone in the United States, to the point where they're supporting U.S. imperialism. They're supporting the overthrow of a leader who, in practice, materially, fought against the U.S. banking class and the shareholders in Israel. They've always been pro-Palestine, the Venezuelan revolution. So for these people who love to virtue signal about Palestine and pretend like they're leftists, who then support the overthrow of Maduro, this pro-Palestinian government, is completely backwards. And it's funny, like, you always see overlap with the DSA sort of imperialist left. Not that everyone in DSA is like that, but you guys get what I mean. The imperialist left and the pseudo anti-establishment right. They're the exact same way, right? What does the right wing say? Israel runs everything. Israel runs our government. Israel runs all the oil industries. Or, I mean, not Israel, but Jewish people, of course. They run everything. But then when the people who actually run everything want to invade Venezuela, they're like, yeah, let's go, USA. I'm like a genius. I'm going to go on a date with a cat boy and then pretend like I'm a masculine tough guy. This is the right wing. And it's similar with the left. Like, we're all about revolution and changing change the world, and we're going to do it ourselves. And but also these people who had a revolution in Venezuela, yeah, the U.S. military should overthrow them and kidnap their leader. It's virtue signaling, sloganeering, and grifting by trying to be edgy and ahead of the curve. But you actually have no grounded, principled, theoretical analysis of politics. So it leaves you like Nick Fuentes, where since Maduro's been kidnapped, bro has switched his position like 3 times. He's been like, yeah, USA, USA. And then he got cooked by Jackson and everyone else in his comments. And then he's like, well, actually, now that I know they're going to occupy Venezuela, I think it's really bad. What did you think they were going to do when they invaded, dumbass? They were either going to destroy it and leave like Libya and all the immigrants would come here, or they were going to occupy it, and we'll be funding that and sending young Americans to die there for the next few years. So, yeah, the only people who have been principled against this from the beginning are the Marxist-Leninists, as always, in the ACP.
Yeah, and just to say something about the anti-Maduro leftists in the West, and specifically in the U.S., I'm tempted to say that part of the problem is that they sustain capitalist and bourgeois, a capitalist and bourgeois categorical framework in their analysis of Venezuela. So they judge it through the standards that are promoted by bourgeois liberal democracy. The problem with that is that even through those standards, you come up to the conclusion that Jimmy Carter came up with, which is that this is the best electoral system in the whole world. I've seen it with my own eyes. They're always telling you, go see it, go to Venezuela. I've been to Venezuela twice. I was an electoral observer in 2024, an official electoral. I got to see multiple election sites, and they have like 5 different steps of calculating the vote that are non-hackable in order to ensure that you have an accurate tally at the end of the day. But you know who that pisses off? That pisses off the US, because they can't do like they likely just did in Honduras, which is manipulate the votes through digital forms of hacking. You can't do that in Venezuela. And because you can't do that, they say it's not democratic and it's not fair and it's utter bullshit. But I'm hesitant to even say that it's categorical, a categorical framework that's purely bourgeois. I think that's a part of it. But it's also a general lack of critical thinking. You know, these are the people that hear the state talk about the conditions of the American people. And, you know, they'll be critical of something such as GDP increase. And they'll say, well, that's actually a meaningless phenomenon because for regular people, their lives are just getting worse. What does that mean? That they're somewhat critical to an official narrative that's being spun about how things are. But then when they talk about other countries, somehow the whole critical framework that they had as to how the establishment talked about the United States, it's gone. It's gone. I'm suddenly going to accept every fact as fact, everything that's said about China, everything that is said about Russia, everything that is said about Venezuela and Cuba. You call them dictators? I'll call them dictators. I'll say I'm not in favor of you carrying out this operation, like the cowardly yellow Mamdani just said. And yellow is not a racial term. It's a normative thing of calling someone, you know, cowardly, whatever. But I'm not going to fundamentally challenge the presumptions and the propaganda that you're feeding the people about these other countries. So that's on one side with the Western left. They've accepted literal lies that are completely baseless about Venezuela, which is part of the reason why they're in that position. And even if those lies were true, they would still be fucking up because they would have the categorical framework, even if Maduro was a dictator, which I wish he was. I really do wish he was. A lot of what's wrong in Venezuela wouldn't be wrong if he was more dictatorial. There is no Venezuela with a proletarian dictatorship that would have Marina Correa Machado being able to walk, or a Guaido or opposition people being able to have any semblance of political power in that country. They would have been asking Russia or China or someone for nukes, and they would have had the real pathway of sovereignty in this world, which unfortunately is having nukes. And that's not because we want nukes. We want a world that's free of nukes. But it's the imperialists who force us to realize what happened to Gaddafi. He denuclearized, gone. What happened to the DPRK? He got nukes. And do they fuck with Kim? They don't fuck with Kim. They try to fuck him over economically, but they don't military fuck with Kim because he has nukes. If you want sovereignty in today's world, you have to get nukes. So where's Maduro's dictatorship? Even if he was dictatorial, we would still have to support him because he actually needs to be, or he had to be, should have been a little bit more dictatorial. Now, when it comes to the so-called communists, I've said this a few times, but there's maybe new people in here. The thing that calls itself the Communist Party of Venezuela on social media is not the actual Communist Party. The people that ran that party is a rogue leadership that had maybe a dozen or so people that completely broke with Chavismo and basically just accepted the whole CIA line about Venezuela. They had a purity fetish. As soon as Maduro started trading very heavily with Iran, they're like, this is a fascist country and Maduro's an authoritarian. And you hear just pure Trotskyite nonsense from a party that's supposed to be aligned with the tradition of the Marxist-Leninist Communist Third International. However, in Venezuela, there is a law that if you're a political party and you break with your own constitution, the state is capable of intervening and changing that rogue leadership that completely undermined the whole legitimacy and the whole basis of the institution. If we had that law in the United States, there would be no ACP. It would just be the CPUSA, except with us as leaders, right? Because the whole basis of the CPUSA got delegitimized at the last national convention, which was the need for reconstituting the CPUSA into the ACP. Since Venezuela has a law, they didn't need to reconstitute the PCV. So there's literally an organization called the Communist Party of Venezuela in Venezuela, and every single Maduro rally, I've seen them. There's thousands of them in each rally. There's a secretariat in that party. I am friends with multiple members of that secretariat. We share each other's stuff on Instagram all the time. These are great, real communist comrades. They've visited China. They've met with the Communist Party of China multiple times. And these people, guys, this is the real Communist Party of Venezuela. But what happened? The old leadership, what do they have? They have the passwords. And Maduro and the Venezuelan government, they can step in and say, hey, you violated the constitution of your party, so here's what's going to be the actual leadership after these procedures of elections, etc. But what can they not do? They can't say, all right, give me your Twitter logins, give me your Instagram logins, give me your social media logins. You know why? Because the one who controls that is the people that control Silicon Valley and all the social media platforms. So on social media, we see one thing that calls itself the PCV. And then in the real world, we see the actual PCV, which is still pro-Maduro. It's one of the most pro-Maduro sectors of Venezuelan society, one of the most militant and willing to shed their blood and to give their life to protect the Chavista process. And then there's these rats that kidnap the image of the PCV internationally and who are literally maybe a dozen or 24 fucking cats.
Yep. I just wanted people to be caught up on that because I know there's a lot of confusion and psyops at play. And, that's one of them. That's one of the... because it's very easy when you don't know what's actually going on in Venezuela to see this organization calling itself the Communist Party, railing against Maduro. It's like, oh, well, maybe the communists are against Maduro. But in fact, it's just a couple people who hijacked the social media account when the real communists are the most hardcore supporters of Maduro who are willing to fight and die to defend his government and the socialist project. And I also think it's interesting that you bring up the part about Venezuela doing democracy and even from the liberal bourgeois perspective, doing democracy better than the US, because I was thinking about that earlier today myself when Venezuela was the first socialist country I ever really dug into. I wrote my college thesis on it. And that was because I had heard socialism always fails. It always decays into dictatorship and economic failure and all this. And when I looked at Venezuela, I'm like, they have way more democracy than us. They have more freedom of press, which has been actually studied by real studies, which isn't hard to do. The U.S. press is so hegemonic and propagandistic. But Venezuela has more freedom of press, freedom of speech, freedom of elections. The opposition party that's supposedly banned from elections actually won the elections in 2015, the National Assembly elections, which was an institution that was created by Hugo Chavez to allow regular people to run. And a lot of the opposition figures, the right-wing figures in Venezuela actually came to prominence through that National Assembly by running National Assembly elections. So not only have they not cracked down on and crushed the opposition, they've allowed them to participate. Like the early Soviet Union was not this way. They were fighting Hitler, so they had to become, a military dictatorship. But in Venezuela, you can't even make that criticism from a liberal perspective. They do what the liberals claim to do better. They actually take it seriously and have tried to implement a real democracy at every level. And we haven't even gotten into the commune system, which is a whole nother level of democracy where people make their own decisions, govern themselves, and control their own food production and economy with funding from the state. So there's a lot of amazing things going on in Venezuela, and it's pretty hard to argue that they're authoritarian and undemocratic from any perspective. But I see someone saying this: what is your stance on Venezuelan accounts that support this? I'm so confused. So what you have to remember is that there's a right wing and an elite and a bourgeoisie in every country. And these Venezuelan elites, the people you see on Twitter with Venezuela flags in their bios, cheering on the regime change war, what 99% of them are doing is, well, for one, selling out their own country to Western oligarchs, but they're grifting for NED money, right? Think about this from an individual perspective. We always talk about how the NED and the CIA will fund people who push their propaganda. Well, these are those people. These are Venezuelan rats with no patriotism, with no principles, who don't care about selling out their own country. They just want to get paid by the oil oligarchs to hand over their own country's resources. So the more anti-Maduro they are on social media, the more money that the NED will funnel them. I saw one of the guys, I ratioed him like 4 times, one of these Venezuelan gusanos, was tagging Pete Hegseth under all of his posts against Maduro, like, please give me money. Please give me money. I'll say whatever you want about my own country. These people are rats. They are what we call the comprador bourgeoisie. The people who say, yes, United States, yes, the great Satan of the world, invade my country, steal our resources, plunder them, and then just give me a couple bucks on the side so I can live better than everyone else. Right? These are the kind of rats that have always made up the Venezuelan bourgeoisie, and they've always portrayed Hugo Chavez and Nicolas Maduro as these uneducated hicks who are too unsophisticated to run the country, and only they, the mainly white liberal elite Venezuelans, can run the country because they're so smart. They're disgusting freaks. They're the Democratic Party or the Republican Party of Venezuela, but they're smaller and have no popularity because they sold out the country for years. There's always been a struggle in Venezuela to control the oil ever since the oil was discovered. And what the ruling class did for years was sell out to the US and help them install dictatorships that would hand over the oil to Western shareholders. So when Hugo Chavez, this working class guy, came to power, he had massive support among the working people, and they tried to suppress him. They tried to put down the revolution, but eventually they were unable to. But these people are still around because Venezuela is not authoritarian, because they don't censor these people and take their social media accounts away or send them to the fucking gulags where they belong. They allowed these people to talk shit and sell out to a foreign power. They allowed Juan Guaido, the leader of the opposition, to take $52 million from the CIA within a year or 2 years. Imagine if that was happening in the US, if I or Carlos were getting $52 million a year from Russia to overthrow the US government. You think they wouldn't put us in jail? Like, this is how unauthoritarian the Venezuelan government is. So if you still believe these propaganda narratives, you need to pull your head from your ass or read my thesis. It's on our website.
Eddie, I remember, I don't know if you were there, but it was that day where students presented a presentation on their master's thesis at the university we went to. And there was a guy, I don't know if you remember Jake, last name starts with an O. He did a presentation where he tried to compare Maduro to like this Machiavellian prince figure, super manipulative and authoritarian. And our buddy Alex just got up and he's like, well, would a dictator allow the opposition guy to walk freely in the streets, and when the people want to throw chairs at him, send the state's security to protect that individual? Is that how a dictator acts? And this cat had to be like this, there's no answer. Because if there's a flaw that you can criticize in the Venezuelan system, is that they're not dictatorial enough. You know, a lot of these people in older socialist projects would have either been in a gulag or somewhere else down under, you know, from the land down under. So yeah, that's just the truth. And they're not. And, you know, you can think whatever you want of that. But that means that even at the level of interpreting them through bourgeois categories of electoral formalism and liberal democracy formalities, they're far more democratic from that standpoint than the bourgeois liberal democracies. And then they have this whole other dimension, as Eddie mentioned, of the communes that provide a real socialist democracy within the Venezuelan social system. That's not ever, of course, talked about. They never talk. I've visited maybe 3 or 4 communes in the times that I've gone. It's incredible. You look and you see murals of Lenin and people reading State and Revolution, people who perhaps were illiterate, and some years ago, people who they're humble people, brown working class people. That's the other thing. In Latin America, the class is very racialized. A lot of these Venezuelans that you see on social media, not to sound woke or whatever, but they're the white Venezuelans who come
It's
from
true.
the wealthy parts of the city. I got to see one of those voting stations. What a difference! What a difference! I got to see. I forget, it was like 5 or 6 or something. One of them was in the richest parts of Caracas, and it was mostly white Venezuelans, and all they did was complain and bitch and nag. It was like a line filled with Karens. That's pretty much it. And I was like, well, this is the social sector that comes back and forth in the United States. All the other ones, it was primarily brown, working class people, super nice, super warm, super engaging with us. They didn't bitch at us. They didn't do anything. It was,
Probably not on Twitter tweeting all the time because they can't
yep,
afford that like the
exactly.
rich ones can. There's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
reason for that.
And that's the thing. And the same thing happens in Cuba. You look at the protests today in Cuba in solidarity of Venezuela, the whole Malecon was filled. We're talking tens of thousands of people. Do you hear from any of them? No, you hear from the ones that have phones that have been given to them from people from Miami that were able to buy them Wi Fi from Miami and who have an explicit narrative to put out there because that's the material incentive. That's where they get their phone, their Wi-Fi, their goodies. And in Cuba right now, if you have money from outside, you can live a very decent life. And they're making that money by talking shit about the system. And that's the perception that we get for all of Cubans when 98% of them are not like that. 98% of them are in Malecon defending and willing to shed blood, not only to protect the Cuban Revolution, but to go over and protect the Venezuelan one too.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you to the only good Trotsky, El Trotsky of the 21st century. Appreciate you for the 10. And we missed this earlier. Thank you, Iowa Worker, for becoming a YouTube member. Enjoy the perks that come with being a Midwestern Marx member. Appreciate the super chats. And you guys can also support us on patreon.com/MidwesternMarx, which will take less of your money. I see this person. Yeah, we should send them to Australia. That is what we should do with Australia. Just make it a big island for all the pedo elites and just send them there to mine. How did Maduro allow himself to be captured? Carlos and I were talking about this earlier. There's a couple options. I don't mean to steal this because he was the one who told me that there are probably 3 options, but I agree. Either someone in the administration betrayed him and sold him out, which is possible, or he gave himself up to avoid further bombing and the further destruction of his country, which I think is very likely. That's the one I'm kind of leaning towards right now. I think he probably just went quietly so that they wouldn't continue bombing Caracas and causing suffering. And then the other one was that the Venezuelans just weren't prepared, which I doubt. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Carlos?
Um, honestly, what I think is that there had to have been some form of betrayal at the higher levels of the Venezuelan armed forces, because you see, I mean, first of all, they come in a helicopter, which I don't know if you know, ain't the fastest fucking thing to drop a bomb with and carry out an operation of that kind with. Then the helicopter's literally standing over the building where they got Maduro for like 2 minutes. And I haven't seen any footage of these aircrafts attempting to be shot down. There was a whole station where they had Russian anti-aircraft, I don't know the military jingle, but stuff to prevent, this from happening. And they weren't even using it, which is like, what the fuck? You have the imperialists off the coast. You should be on 100% alert. What? Why would you not have that ready to go? Why would you not shoot it up when these helicopters enter Venezuelan airspace? I really don't get it. And some of the people that I've seen in the streets, they're literally asking for guns because they're saying this doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that he was just kidnapped like that. There's been so much time for planning for something like this that it really just doesn't make sense for something like this to happen. So I've seen some of the people say we want the guns, just in case there's traitors up there. At least we have guns and we can do what it takes. And Venezuela has a long history, along with Colombia and the United Gran Colombia project, of there being traitors who pick the most inopportune moments, or I guess opportune for them, to come out and be the fucking rats that they are.
Yeah. I agree. I think the other option there is that there was a deal made beforehand where Maduro said, you can take me, just delay the bombing or whatever. That's possible too. But yeah, I mean, that's what happened to Thomas Sankara, who was almost universally popular in his country, universally beloved by pretty much everyone in Burkina Faso. His best friend got offered money from the United States and sold him out, and they killed him and cut him up into a bunch of pieces and buried him around the country so that nobody could find him, to try and prevent him from becoming a martyr, which he did anyways. But so, humans are humans. No matter how much popular support you have, people around you are always liable to sell out for enough money, which is disgusting. And whoever, anybody who does sell out like that is deserving of a lot of bad stuff. But
yeah, we don't even have to say, what we think they're deserving of. And it's a very difficult situation because it's not like Venezuela has an overwhelming majority. Maduro won, but he won by a fairly narrow margin. It was less than 60%. So it could become troublesome. Right now, Maduro's not there, but the government is still going. All the basic institutions that run Venezuelan society are controlled by the Chavistas. So it can continue going just like it did after Chavez was killed, because he didn't just die from cancer, he was killed. And Chavez's nephews, who I'm friends with, also believe that, and most people in Venezuela believe that Chavez was killed.
There's too much evidence. I 100% believe it.
Way too much evidence. And Venezuela kept going. It kept going, and it could as well in this case quite easily. I don't think the members of the opposition are willing to sacrifice their life and to shed their blood in ways in which the Chavistas are. Because remember, there's two types of members of the opposition. There's the wealthy white ones we just talked about, and then there's the lumpen. The lumpen in Venezuelan society, who, because they haven't been elevated fast enough, and because they don't have the faith that Deng Xiaoping asked the Chinese people to have, which is some people will get wealthy first, but eventually we'll all be wealthy, which actually means something in socialism. It's not just Reagan trickle-down bullshit. These individuals have turned against the Chavista process if they were ever in favor of it. They're very anti-social elements that every single society on this planet has, unless they have been 40, 50, 60 years deep into their socialist construction. So those lumpen individuals could be paid as mercenaries to do violent acts against the government, especially in tandem with sectors of the military that could have
already. That's what they do every election.
Yeah, every election. That's why it stops right after the election process, because they only, they buy them for the election process, and that's it. And then for the rest of the time, they're like, whatever, fuck off. If they work in tandem with some high-level generals or something like that, maybe something can happen. But I highly doubt that this can shake the fundamental core of Venezuela. For one reason, the same element that has been one of the things we critique, that liberal democratic formalism, is also part and parcel of why there can't be that radical of a transformation in leadership. In the Soviet Union, this is one of the critiques that the Chinese, or one of the components of the analysis that the Chinese have of the Soviet Union and the collapse. They say that because everything was so centralized and top down, when bad reformist leadership came, they had the power to throw everything in the garbage and just shit the bed completely, and everyone else had to deal with it, even if most of the party was not in favor of it. In Venezuela, that cannot happen precisely because of these democratic mechanisms, where if you have a leadership that wants to sell out, unless they completely throw law and everything out the window, which I highly doubt they're capable of, they're not going to be able to be successful at it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I want to talk about a couple of comments here. This is a good one. Is the U.S. going to be able to run Venezuela? That, I thought, was the most interesting and maybe the most absurd thing that Trump said of anything. They're not just going to kidnap Maduro and leave. They're going to run and occupy Venezuela. And this is what Nick Fuentes say, oh, now I'm not in support of the invasion. I'm not in support of it because the U.S. is going to occupy them. But we've been saying that the U.S. won't achieve its strategic goals just by taking out Maduro, because like Carlos said, the socialists are still in charge. They could just put in power another socialist president. So in order to actually install a puppet dictatorship, the U.S. has to stay there. And they're going to have to eliminate all of these Chavista elements one way or another. So what this is turning into is Iraq 2.0. They promised us a very short war where we would go in and take the oil. And now it's going to be a long, drawn-out occupation where people like my buddy who's in the U.S. military are going to, 23 years old, are going to be sent to die in the jungles of Venezuela or whatever, all so the U.S. can establish a puppet government. So I don't think the U.S. is going to be able to run Venezuela, or maybe they will, but it's going to be like Iraq, where it's fucking disastrous and there are people fighting back, and probably some like terror groups will emerge too if the U.S. is successful and stays there for like 10 years and is successful in destroying socialism. What you'll get instead are like extremist terror groups living in extreme poverty with no, leadership or education, who will then, the chaos we've seen in Iraq, the destruction of, what was a stable society before that, and its decay into civil war. And, same thing that we saw in Libya. And also what's hilarious about people on the right supporting this is, imagine how many refugees that'll create. And where the hell do you think those Venezuelan refugees are going to go? They're going to come right to the United States, where the same right-wingers who supported this war will then scapegoat them for all of America's problems. So this is the real question we need to be asking. What happens next, right? It's tragic that Maduro was kidnapped, but what happens next with the socialist, communist, and working class leadership in Venezuela that's still there, and the incoming U.S. effort to occupy and control the country? I like this one too. Thank you for the $2 super chat, Ben. What are actionable things we can do? Really, I mean, it's going to sound like this thing we always say, but you have to join the American Communist Party. There's been one party, one group that's been against this war from the beginning. And there's one group that understands that the bombs that drop in Caracas drop here at home. As Martin Luther King said, I believe, or Carlos said in his speech. Same guy, pretty much. Just
Same
kidding,
guy.
just kidding. Don't clip that.
He died for our sins. Have you seen that little girl that's like, who was Jesus? Or who died for our sins? She's like, I'm
Martin
okay.
Luther King. Yes. So we're the only party that understands that the American workers and the Venezuelan workers have the same enemy. It's the same oil oligarchs, the same politicians, the same ultra-Zionists who exploit us and debt trap us and control our media here at home, who are trying to conquer Venezuela so that they can plunder the oil. So the only way to fight for the Venezuelans is to organize American workers here at home. Unless you're going to join an international brigade and go fight a guerrilla war in Venezuela, the only way to help it is to organize your workplace, your community here at home, get people educated, and help us to do what we're already doing, which is building a new political force in America. And when we got involved with politics and all this heinous shit was still going on around the world that disgusted us, there wasn't a party to join. That's why we had to start Midwestern Marx, just our own media outlet, and then grow it from there. And our ideology and our ideas and our view of the world caught on like wildfire because people agree with us. People have the same feelings. People are equally disgusted by this and want to fight to change it. But now we actually have a vehicle to bring about that change, an actual party with an actual program and a path forward for this country, which is what, you could go join the Groypers, who are pro-Venezuela, anti-Venezuela, whatever, but they have no organization either. They're just fans of a certain streamer on social media. We actually get people involved. We have systems that are designed to get people educated, get people trained physically and mentally, and get them involved in their communities on the ground doing work immediately. And that vehicle needs to grow. It needs to be expanded. It needs more individuals, and it needs more high quality individuals, or individuals who are willing to train themselves and learn new skills for the party, and dedicate their lives to this. Obviously, we have other things going on in our lives, but the struggle for humanity, especially now when our country and our whole society is in decay, the struggle for humanity should be primary for all of us. I think that's how I feel. I get it. Family, friends, things are important in life. But all of that could go away, like Venezuela is could potentially be seeing all of their prosperity and community go away overnight, because of these pedophile demons who run our country. So we need to fight them, and the ACP is the only one actually fighting them. I swear to God, Nick Fuentes and these other anti-establishment right-wingers are all feds, just designed to keep the younger generation supporting the imperialist world system in the era of social media, where you all have access to outlets like Midwestern Marx rather than Fox News and this garbage.
Yeah, we should maybe later react to the Bradley Martin question, which I think was phenomenal, the one he asked Nick Fuentes. But what can we do? I think, of course, join ACP. You guys don't know how lucky you are that ACP already exists. Eddie and I had to traverse for many years a terrain that was difficult, to put it lightly. And I think for both of us, we can confidently say that founding ACP was perhaps, one of the proudest moments of our life, because we created hope, not just for a lot of people, but also for ourselves, because we knew we needed at some point an organization. And when we saw the faith that people already had in it from day one, many people, it's easy to realize I'm not insane. There's other people who feel this way, and who are willing to put their money and their actions where their mouth is. In a more direct and immediate sense, because I don't think we're going to be having the revolution tomorrow or something like that, share everything that you can about Venezuela. Break the imperialist propaganda machine. I'm going on Twitter and I'm seeing Maria Demon Machado getting almost 1 million likes, and I'm like, fuck my life, dude. Holy shit. And the same thing with Elon retard Musk.
All that shit's fed boosted, bro. Elon has turned that app into Truth Social. It doesn't mean that much anymore, but unless you actually have like a communist or a socialist blow up, that's when like Elon has completely transformed that algorithm exactly like I predicted he would, into maybe the most censored app on the internet. You can say whatever you want on X, but you have to be the most cattle-brained retard if you want to blow up consistently. That's what it promotes. It's literally Truth Social now.
Yeah, so I mean, but even on other platforms, they still get more traction. So I think we can, in an immediate capacity, share as much as we can. We can go to the protests. We've asked our members, if there's protests around you, go. Work with everyone else that's there. I think this is a moment where we need unity. We need to look at what we all share, what we all have in common, what's actually important, what the principal contradictions at hand are, and forget about the other tertiary and secondary dumb shit. And it's never us who have a problem with the dumb shit. It's always the other party involved. But even there, we should try to be patient and help people see that it's more important that we stand together, because we're not a big group. The communist left in the US is not a big group. The people that are willing to go to the street to protest against this war in Venezuela is not a big group yet. Maybe we've been talking about this at the EB level. Maybe when boots are on the ground, it gets bigger. But insofar as we're not a big group, we need to unite. And that's what we need to focus on. I don't give a shit if it's a DSAer that's next to me, or a PSLer or an FRSOer, we're going to be standing here together, showing as many numbers as we can against the U.S. empire. And I don't think that's going to do it. We have always been very critical of activist brain and protests and all that stuff, but it is something we can do in conjunction with sharing and influencing the discourse at the level of social media.
Yeah, go to the protests and don't start fights and unify, but also understand we need to get ready for the real fight.
Yeah.
And the only way to get ready for the real fight is joining the American Communist Party. I'm sorry, but that is the truth. We're the only ones who are preparing for that fight, who see the path that America's on, the imperial decline, potentially impending civil war. And it's time to get fucking prepared for that. We're run by literal pedophiles, guys. Like, you're scared to be smeared as a communist or smeared by other leftists for being with the ACP. We're run by people who abuse children, who are mass murdering people in our name and sending our family members to go fight and die. I was with my cousin earlier today who has PTSD from the bullshit that they made him do in Syria. These people need to be overthrown now for the sake of humanity. Non-violently and democratically and peacefully, of course, overthrown in a video game.
Can I say something real quick, Eddie,
Yeah.
about you mentioned something very interesting about social media and Elon Musk. It reminds me a lot. Musk is almost like the figure of 68. The 68 student protest, they culminate in that generation of protesters becoming eventually the establishment. And Musk is such a archetype of a Australo-American version of that, or a South African American, excuse me. They all have the very similar accent for us Americans. But it's very interesting when you look at the dynamic of how social media works on X. You can say everything. You can post the most politically incorrect memes, but it also has this logic that Michel Clouscard, a French Marxist that was analyzing 1968 very critically, said, everything is allowed, but nothing is permitted. And I think a similar, a homologous expression of that to our time is when Musk said, we'll have freedom of speech, but not freedom of reach, which means essentially everything is allowed. You can say whatever the fuck you want, but you're not actually going to have any real power in shaping how far that gets. Mechanisms are going to be put in place so that certain forms of discourse are the ones that are censored, and other forms of discourse are the ones that are uplifted. And those are always going to be aligned with what the hegemony, what the ruling order requires at some specific time. All right, there was a question here.
Sorry, can I say something? I was listening the whole time. I'm sorry, I just got back. No, that's completely correct. What you said was brilliant and a great point that I didn't even think of when I said that. But also, what is probably the best independent media outlet in the world, because it's run by socialists and working class people? Do you know what I'm talking about? Other than us?
Infrared.
Telesur.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So it's a perfect example. Telesur is because Venezuela has this sort of internationalist or pan-American outlook to their revolution. They have this socialist government-run media outlet that a lot of you are probably familiar with called Telesur that is amazing. It's been one of my go-to media sources for years now. They just report on things that nobody else reports on, like when the International Criminal Tribunal on Yugoslavia said that Milosevic couldn't be convicted of genocide. That was ignored by the Western press, and it was reported in Telesur. So that just shows the international dimension of this struggle, and it shows how, you know, there is working class control in Venezuela, including the media apparatus. And it shows you a third thing, which is that media is very important. So I think going to protests is good, like Carlos said, but when you go to the protest, bring your friggin' camera, take a video, or, you know, retweet and boost other people if you don't want to put your face out there who who are saying the correct things. Anytime something like this happens that I think is super important, any big geopolitical issue, I'll do one of my TikToks, but I'll post it on Snapchat for my 400 to 500 Snapchat friends that I have, who are people I know in my personal life. You have more influence over people you know in your personal life, so have those conversations. I was bringing it up at my family Christmas today. I was all fired up, so I just didn't care, but I was telling people, yeah, my family's Christian. I'm like, why are we invading a Christian socialist country? Are we not acting like literal demons, like literally satanic right now? That's what I was trying to appeal to them on that. So don't be afraid to have those conversations. People are more open-minded than you think a lot of the time, because they just don't know shit about politics.
If I can make a theological point real quick, because I was thinking about this in a recent bubble bath I took. Because I did a video on Hillary Clinton and I called her demonic, and I was dying for someone to mention, like, why would you say demonic? You're a Marxist. And no one did it, and I was pissed off. I was thinking about making an account just so that I can comment on that and reply to it, but I was like, fuck it. Because in my head I was having this conversation with this fake individual that didn't exist, who was like questioning the ability.
Our audience is too base these days for that shit.
And the truth is that what has always been considered holy or godly is that which is tied to goodness and truth. And what's demonic is that which is tied to the opposite, to evil and to untruth. And you look at the level of discourse, there's a consistency that's rooted in truth, because truth doesn't have to flip-flop like Fuentes does, that you get from the Maduro government and from the Venezuelan government. But you look at the US government and the discourse, and one day it's a cartel de los soles and drug trafficking. The next day it's that Hezbollah and Hamas have tunnels in fucking Venezuela. The next day it's fentanyl. The next day is that Maduro violated human rights. And the next day it's well, that oil in Venezuela is actually ours, and yada yada. And it's like they keep flip-flopping. And it becomes very evident to anyone who has a comprehensive analysis and who has looked into all the perspectives of the situation, the imperialist, the anti-imperialist, where truth lays. And if you have a system that necessarily has to pump out lies and lies and lies and lies so that they can continue carrying out bombings and bombings and bombings and bombings, that's demonic. The way we understand, even through a philosophical anthropology of how humans project themselves onto God, whatever the fuck you want to, if you want to treat the terms God and demonic in a materialist light, you can do that. But still, the holy has always been on Gaddafi's side. The holy has always been on the Chavista side. And the unholy, the demonic, has always been in the Clinton and in the side of the pedophilic elite that is ruling over us and that's carrying out a war now against Venezuela.
I love that point. It's a point I used to stray away from because the left, you couldn't really talk about religion in any kind of positive light or even use like religious symbolism, which is so stupid because Marx used so much religious symbolism in his writing. But it really is like it comes down to a battle of good versus evil. The ruling elites with no patriotism, who only care about consumeristic goods and wealth and the accumulation of wealth, all these things that Jesus railed against. And then you have the working people, the people who actually are humble, who produce what society needs, who work not for themselves usually, but for their families and for the collective and for the community. And Venezuela represents a government controlled by those working people. And the U.S. represents a government controlled by the owning class that wants to destroy that. And it is demonic. The murder of Hugo Chavez was the first thing that I publicly called satanic, because I was like, this is so like painfully disgusting and obviously evil. I had something else to say about that, but I kind of lost my train of thought. But I like that as a framing. Oh, I remember what I was going to say. So some of you know that, my parents, they're probably listening to this stream right now because they wanted to hear my take on Venezuela, and I had to leave family Christmas early today for the emergency stream. But they've been or a lot of my family members, I'll say, have been like more social democratic. They've like come a long way, but now they're not just being social democratic because of what they've heard from me and what they know from me. They're like actually really getting into politics themselves. They're like researching all the time. My mom is reading Michael Hudson.
God
My
damn.
dad is doing stuff, reading books like that along with her. And my mom is still a devout Christian, and she's like, this is Satan, I think. She's like, I think Israel and the US, what they're doing to Maduro and all this stuff is the work of Satan and demons. And I'm like, you know what, Mom? I can't see the spiritual world with my eyes. I'm a materialist. I go off what I can see, but you might be right. Trump might actually be the devil in human form, or possessed by some kind of demon, along with all the freaks around him. I mean, how else do you explain these people who go to Epstein's Island to do what they did and then cover it up, and continue going on living in luxury? Like, what do you call that shit other than demonic and satanic, man?
Yeah, I was never a Bible guy growing up. My reference point for Bible values was Pinocchio, and I always think of the island where they take Pinocchio, the island of endless pleasure and indulgence and all that stuff, and that's the Epstein class, and the same drive that they have for the endless satisfaction of ephemeral desire. It has the same form as capital accumulation. The endless satisfaction of the accumulation of capital taken to the most abstract extremes that you get with finance, where money just begets money itself.
Laissez-faire is their cultural ideology. Laissez-faire is do as thou wilt.
Yeah.
It's whatever you can do in the market, no matter who you got to kill or enslave or step on. Well, not enslave, it's got to be wage labor, but whoever you got to step on to accumulate more wealth, that's what's good for society. So translate that to individual day-to-day life. Well, whatever you want to do to please yourself is okay. Do as thou wilt, as long as you have the power to do it. And that's where they end up with that logic, is on Epstein's Island, covering it up to the rest of us. Iowa Worker, thank you, comrade. Iowa Worker made a really sick edit of me recently with Iowa Hawkeye colors. I love that aesthetic. I think that should be your brand, Iowa Worker, that Hawkeye aesthetic. It's perfect for organizing the working class in the Midwest, just like you said. And I couldn't agree more, brother. People are, more than anywhere else in the country, I swear, even more than the coasts, people here are ready for that. Like, in the deep South, there's still like a deep cult of Trump, which doesn't exist on the same level here. Most Midwesterners are like, yeah, I voted for Trump because he said he wouldn't do wars and seem better than Biden. I feel like the other guys are corrupt. I don't know how you could support the Democrats. Like, that's what they're like. They're like, I don't agree with a common sentiment here in the Midwest is like, take Trump's Twitter account away. Like, I like his policies, but him as a person and his craziness is insane. And now that has changed this term, where they're actually against his actual policies and his governance. And a lot of people are turning on him or not that enthusiastic about him, just like what happened with Obama. A lot of the Midwesterners who voted for Trump were Obama voters. A lot of them, especially in the Midwest. And those people are now disillusioned with Trump because he lied to them too. So I genuinely think this place is the most ripe for revolution because of the culture of the people. It's kind of like the South, where they're like socially conservative and overly friendly and hospitable, but not as naive and cucked to the ruling class, and without that legacy of chattel slavery and racism.
It's the winner. The winner forces you to reflect.
I was saying this to
and to be
Julia
a critical
today because
thinker.
she's in Florida. Sorry. I was like, this is why she was saying how great it is. I'm like, this is why we're tougher in the Midwest. We don't have
I struggle writing when I'm in warm climates. I just want to,
really.
just work out, lift, be outside, have fun. It's like, I want to read in the cold with an open window and a hot coffee, and that's where I prefer writing and doing research. I bet if I statistically,
Can I say one thing on that?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
friend
go ahead.
is a wrestling coach in Louisiana. Same thing. It's much harder for him to get kids to wrestle because what the hell are you going to do in the winter in the Midwest?
Yeah. It's I if I track the rate of writing, like month pages per month or something like that I do, I'm sure there's like cycles where like in the cold weather it goes up, warm weather it goes down. Easy.
That's really interesting. I don't know if I'm the same or not. I'd have to think about it. I have a vitamin D light for the winter too that I probably do write more in the winter because I set that light up because I need it anyways. And what am I going to do? I might as well start the morning with reading and writing. So, E pluribus regnum. What's up, comrade? Good to see you again. Burkina Faso is just reporting that they repelled and thwarted a coup attempt in recent hours. Yes. Speaking of the just usage of authority for the purpose of thwarting regime change. Were you saying something, Carlos?
Oh, just there you go. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Perfect example. We have here from Sahel Revolutionary Soldier. This is the source that I could find on this within a few minutes. Another unsuccessful coup attempt this evening against our revolutionary leader, Ibrahim Traore. Burkinabe youths are activating their mobilization contingency to ensure the traitors are not allowed to escape. Based use of working class authority. Don't let those rats escape. The youth have organized a whole night vigil before the president's residence. That is so base. Shows you the support that he has behind him. And they're definitely thinking about Venezuela right now, right? I'm sure the U.S. probably orchestrated this. They were probably trying to get a double win by taking out Burkina Faso and Venezuela, put a dagger in the heart of the multipolar world. But they were thwarted in Burkina Faso, just like they had been in Venezuela in the past. So who's to say they don't go in with the U.S. military and kidnap Traore next? In this era of brazen mask-off imperialism that we're in. But solidarity with them. They're doing a great job. They learned the lessons of Sankara, those painful lessons that they had to learn 40 years ago now. But, man, my respect for Traore through the roof. What a hero.
If I could suggest something to Comrade Traore, it's along the lines of the last Metal Gear Red podcast, which was phenomenal. If you guys haven't checked it out, make sure you do. There was a comment that Haas said, which was politically incorrect, but I think true, that there was something in a non-Marxist sense that was reactionary about the Cultural Revolution, in the sense that it was going back to a deeper traditional civilizational foundation in what it was doing, while simultaneously going forward and reinventing society radically. I think we need to go back to a Foucault talks about this, the two types of punishment. We got to go back to the old one where it's like very public, very humiliating and very painful. Yeah. And for these people that are traitors, I'm a humanitarian, so I'm pro gulag, not super pro the other part in public. But if you get these cats and you put the Dunes hat on them, you record it, and you just like, I don't know, like tie them down and start tickling them or something embarrassing. You just have everyone in the population watch it so that they're clowned on in 25 years when they get out of jail. That's humanitarian methods of enhanced interrogation or something.
That was the one flaw of Spartacus. Have you ever seen or read Spartacus?
I haven't seen it. No.
After the slaves have their revolution and the gladiators, they take the Roman elites and throw them in the arena and make them fight each other, like what they used to do with the slaves. And Spartacus is like, no, we can't become just like them. Like, well, it's a different form of gladiator fighting. This one's okay. Embarrass them.
There's people asking about ACP. You can join at acp.us. Very simple. It was a very expensive hyperlink thing, but we wanted to pay the good bucks so we can keep it simple. acp.us. Join the party. Someone else asked if they can join in Canada. You can.
Yes.
So join.
Please join ACP. Make sure you have a Telegram account. Go to acp.us. Like Carlos said, even though we're grifters who are grifting off the movement to make money, we spent a lot of money out of our own pocket, or other people in the party did, in leadership to make sure we had that easy to use domain name. So join. E pluribus regnum's in the party. I know that. So is this comrade, I believe. Thank you. Oh, they're from Argentina. Never mind. But thank you, Victor. Venezuela showing why one-party dictatorship is not ideological posturing, but material necessity. Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this a million times, how one-party states are more democratic and more successful in maintaining that democracy in the face of imperialism.
How right were we, Eddie? Jackson put
We're-
a video from 2024 where he predicted that this would happen. But in 2021, these two cats right here wrote an article saying this whole pink tide is, I forget the metaphor we use, we're like skating on thin ice, right? If
something
they don't
like
if they don't become more dictatorial in terms of proletarian dictatorship, they can be gone. And what has happened this year? Bye-bye Bolivia, or last year was bye-bye Bolivia. In Honduras, even though it came after, I think it came after we had written the article. It came and it went very quickly. So bye-bye Honduras. And now look at where Venezuela's at. Hopefully it's going to be good, but, you know, the lesson we imparted, not because we're geniuses, but because we actually read Lenin and take it seriously and think it's still relevant for our day. That lesson is proving itself more and more correct as time passes.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is the article if anyone's interested. And Chile too, and even Brazil to a lesser degree, with Lula selling out and Chile going fast, essentially. So yeah, pretty much what we predicted happened. It was two things that we said. They need to consolidate political control, meaning like one party Marxist-Leninist state, and they need to reinvest more of the surplus in development. Only about 17% of Venezuela's economy is publicly owned, which again, even from liberal bourgeois standards, they're not authoritarian. They allow private industry or people to start businesses and stuff. But they should have taken more of that. They should have seized other industries and nationalized more of the economy and redistributed more land. And yeah, do more to invest that surplus in the people and take it out of the hands of the elites. Thank you, Estarbach. Appreciate you for the 10 super sticker, brother. And then he sent another one. Shout out to you for double. Shout out to Uncle and Andy Liar. Yeah, shout out to them. Much love. I love them more than I think I love anyone else, except of course my beautiful girlfriend. But they're all on the same level, but a different kind of love.
I would hope it's a different.
Bro, I bought these European Zins for Julia because my girlfriend's from Poland. So I put a Zin in the other day, and like me and her are weak. Like I do 3 millis, and she like can't even do 3. She like rarely Zins, but when she needs to focus, she'll like empty half of a 3 and put it in. I put one of these in, and I laid down. Also, like, whoa! I felt like I was on another planet, and I was like had to struggle to not throw up. And I looked at it today. It's 11 milligrams, which is you can't even get that. That's like almost twice as much as what you can get in the U.S. So those Europeans with their nicotine, man, I don't know how you guys do it, but yeah, I don't know what made me think of that, but like,
I was so fucking around. I was waiting for you to tie it to your mom and dad.
no, I just thought of Juliet. I saw my Zins.
Some Theo Von shit. But Starbuck is at a very Chinese point of his life because calling people uncle is what the Chinese do.
Yes, absolutely. Uncle Roger. Thank you, Corvid Conquest. 14 months. You're getting up there, bro. You're about to hit a 2 years of membership. Appreciate you, Corvid. Long time Midwestern Marx supporter, as you can see. American communism greater than Epsteinite imperialism. ACP rising. YouTube won't let me send the message I want to send. Thank you, brother. Absolutely agree. We will.
We gotta add Epsteinite to the categorical framework of Marxism. I think we've already spontaneously have for the last like 2 months, all of us ACPers just use like the Epstein class as synonymous. The Epstein class is the cultural way of describing the ruling finance capitalist class. The same degeneracy that they display economically, they display culturally with their exotic taste, to put it mildly. And Yeah, the Epstein class, new term added to Marxism-Leninism.
I like it. Finance capital evolves into Epstein class.
Epstein capital.
Epstein capital. Iowa
Just a
worker
bunch of children.
Iowa worker, thank you for another 5 joining ACP at the end of the year. Let's go. Due to age, I believe. Super excited to have you in the Iowa chapter. We need more good members organizing the Midwest, and continue writing on the Substack publication. Awesome. Yeah, follow Iowa worker on Substack. I'll have to have we'll have to find your Substack so Carlos and I can read it and leave comments and share your articles if they're worth sharing, which I'm sure they are. So thank you for your membership and your support and the $5 super chat. And I can't wait to have you in the party working side by side with me and the Iowa comrades. That's exciting. Red Maze always pops in every once in a while to drop the biggest super chat around just to flex on everybody. Thank you so much, Red Maze. I think we need a truce with other pro-Venezuelan voices, even if they're not communists, so we protest and not be sidelined with division. Thoughts? I agree. I mean, that's what Carlos was saying earlier. When it comes to actual, tangible, on-the-ground actions against imperialism, anybody who's against imperialism should be welcome. I don't care if they're Rand Paul libertarians, DSA leftists, PSL sort of rainbow communists. I don't know what you want to call them. All these people who are against war with Venezuela will work with them. And like Carlos said, usually their problem is with us, not the other way around. Like we have our criticisms of them, but we're willing to work together on the areas of common ground. And this is one of those areas. We're sending our people out to protest. We're instructing them not to start shit with anybody. It's about unifying for the Venezuelan proletariat and for the American proletariat as well. So I completely agree with that sentiment.
There was someone here in the chat that I mentioned that they had seen ACP members at a protest today. We had all of our members go to protests near them. There was, I think, the North Carolina chapter that made an IG post. That made an IG post collaborating with like the local DSA and other leftist organizations that were doing some of the protesting against the imperialist war on Venezuela. So we always say it, bro. We've literally had the chairman of the party go on Reddit and say it very explicitly, even on other settings. Like, bro, we will work with everyone on the issues that we agree with. We're not the ones with the purity fetish. It's them. They're the ones that don't want to work with us over dumb shit. We'll work with everyone. And, multiple members of the EB have expressed that. That's the sentiment of our cadre. That's the sentiment of our party in general. You know why? Because we're serious about this. We're not in it just for the me, and the identity socialists and the my clique versus your. No, we want to fucking win the class struggle, and we're not retarded. We know it takes some level of unity to get respect, to get to be treated as a serious political force. So we're happy to unite and work together with anyone who wants to come together on issues like this, like Venezuela, where a lot of us agree on.
And that even works within our party too, because anybody who's been a part of a lot of these other leftist parties knows there's a lot of like struggle sessions and unnecessary meetings that need to be had because, this guy said it's because of something very minor, right? Because of something that could have been fixed with an honest conversation between two comrades. And we have that level of tolerance, where we can have disagreements with people on certain issues and ameliorate those and work together on the issues where we have common ground, even within the party. And that's the essence of democratic centralism, really.
And if there's a problem, Director of Personnel Kyle Pettis just forces people to have a cigarette together, and it usually
figure it out.
Yeah,
we did it the other day. Everybody left happy. Get them numbers up. Those are weak. Thank you, Kyle, for being a member in the $10 super chat. I will definitely be ordering some 24 milligram Europeans in soon once I can handle one of these 11s. And then I'll start smoking cigs and become a real man. The right has become the new woke. This is so true. I agree with that statement so much. Canceling people for not thinking like them and accusing you of supporting terrorism. It's like the war on terror all over again. Absolutely. It's the same thing, man. They have the same ideology. These right-wingers talk about wokeism all day, but then they support censoring pro-Palestinian voices or, the cops arresting protesters or all this, obviously not pro free speech stuff from the government. They're all in favor of. And a lot of these people, I'm not gonna lie, like they're like cattle, like Haas said. A lot of these woke right wingers are woke right means woke right. The right is using that to describe the anti-Israel right. But I'm talking about like the pro-Israel right when I say woke right, because they're the real libs, and the real wokes. They're just they have like 2 brain cells left, and they're just rubbing them together as hard as they can and pumping out slop tweets that Elon's algorithm boosts. So yeah, they are like the leftists. They always have been. It's always been the same shit, man.
They're the body snatchers from They Live. Like they're literal robots in human skins, or aliens in human skins, and that's why they barely seem human.
Carlos, will we work with Titoists? I know there are a lot of Titoist organizations in America.
It's the thing. It's like the new TikTok trend. Everyone's a Titoist.
What would that even mean? Like, that's so specific to like Yugoslavia's conditions. Like, does that mean you side with the U.S. for financing instead of the Soviet Union, which no longer exists, and the IMF destroys your country?
It takes a leap of knowledge to know that the real split in the left is threefold. It's Titoist, Jucha, and Posadist. And we're on the side of Jucha. We are Korean nationalists. Communists. That's literally what we are. That's the secret to it all. Spiritually, we're Korean.
Am I a Titoist thing? Because I love what Tito did during World War II. He was a hero. But after World War II, his policy was, after the Tito-Stalin split, it was nonsense. I'm not going to lie. They should not have taken those IMF loans and split with the USSR. I don't know what they were thinking. And they wanted to annex Albania too. It's like, guys, chill. But anyways, still a better country than any capitalist country.
You know who I seriously want to look up that I haven't? I heard maybe a podcast from Rev Left Radio like 10 years ago or something, but I haven't read anything about them. The actual Posadist. I don't know if you've looked into them, but
yeah, a little bit. It's like some wild shit, right? Like
yeah. I can dig the schizo. It's fun.
It did seem interesting when I read about it, or like, just like, how does this exist?
That's the type of Marxism Leninism that the losing Qatari would like. That's like schizo.
The schizo Marxism Leninism.
Yeah.
That's funny. Do you support foul play? And the rest of Maduro is our last super chat that we got here. Thank you, comrade, for being a member for 7 months. We talked about this earlier, but very likely that there was betrayal at the top. That's how they always, do these things, is they identify somebody on the inside who can basically sell out the leadership on behalf of the invading power. So very likely what happened, either that or Maduro agreed to give himself up to prevent bloodshed. I think one of the two. I doubt it was that the Venezuelans were just like not ready to shoot down these helicopters.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to be ready for that. It's like you have a guy look up and then it passes. Like even at the bare level of like forgetting all the Russian equipment they had that was capable of taking that down automatically. You just have a guy with a gun on lookout. And then when he sees in a helicopter, like, hey, helicopter. And then you just shoot it down. It's
helicopter.
Helicopter. And then you just blow it up. In a video game, because this is also the American state we're talking about.
Oh, right. Yes. Right. In a video game. In GTA Caracas. That's what they should have done. Did you favorite this one? Did you want to respond?
Yeah. I don't know if you've seen some of the Hassan posts. Have you seen them?
I saw that, like, our buddy Cosmic Operations, I saw him post that Hassan said something positive about us, but like, Cosmic Operations just be saying shit sometimes. So I didn't know.
He do be saying shit.
Yeah,
No, he said that he had tremendous respect for Jackson Hinkle. He was jealous of when he got to speak in Yemen. There was people in the comments of the post he was reacting to that he was like they put a meme. It was like real anti-imperialist, and it was Jackson dressed up as a Yemeni pirate, and then LARPing, and it was Hassan, and he's like, you know what, that's actually right. And then he said something about like liking ACP. I can't believe you haven't seen this.
No, we should play it.
I'll try to look for it if you keep the
Carlos is in
audience
charge of
entertained.
air defense.
What?
This guy says put Carlos in charge of Venezuela's air defense.
I know who that guy is, and he's absolutely right, Doctor. So
Carlos will just shoot books at them.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's I think that might be Comrade Corey.
Mm.
Which
Oh
makes
yeah,
it,
I think you're right.
it makes it even funnier. He knows my skill set.
Doctor.
He knows I'm a good shot. He knows I'll be good at the job. Those who know. You know. Let me see if I can find this fucking video. I can't believe you haven't seen this. I was mind blown when I saw it.
Yeah, I'm surprised. This person, sorry, while you're looking at it, I'll just answer this. They did have anti-aircraft guns. They got them from Russia, and they did preemptively strike. But Venezuela still had they still have anti-aircraft. Like they could have absolutely done something, which is why there's either foul play involved on the inside, betrayal, or this was prearranged.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Let me see what the fuck it is.
Oh man, has surprising aim. I'm impressed by that. We gotta have a range day soon for self-defense.
I'm finding some of the quote tweets from Shattering Hegemony. But there's a video where he explicitly says it, which was kind of mind-boggling.
I thought I saw that the other. Let's see here.
By the way, we haven't talked about this yet. Have you seen how popular Kim Jong-un has been on X after these attempts on Maduro in Venezuela? Everyone is literally sharing the DPRK picture of him behind a big-ass fucking nuke saying this would not happen to North Korea.
Based. Okay. Hold on, I found one of these videos. Yeah, it's interesting how the march of history changes people's consciousness to make them more based. Like, people are watching these regime change wars in real time and realizing why these countries need to defend themselves by any means necessary. Let's see at this. This is the Cosmic Operations post.
There's no audio.
My bad. I don't even know if this is it or not, but we'll try to find it for you guys. This is fascinating if Hassan Piker is changing his mind. It's great. I've always offered an olive branch to Hassan. I've been very critical of him.
What the fuck is this?
He gets 2 points!
Is this the ACP dude? I don't know, but I like it. Hell yeah. That gave Durham Operations? Oh my God. Oh my God. Remember Durham Operations? Oh my God. Durham Operations is the ACP dude. Wait, no.
Yeah, they're talking about our boy Cosmic Operations. I love that guy. Shout out.
No.
Just the right amount of schizophrenia.
I have the exact same reaction to his videos of Hassan. I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't know, but like and retweet.
Oh, he was like too much of an anarchist to ever be ACP. We won him over.
He was
an anarchist. He became ACP. Yeah, Canadian Durham operations would constantly post stuff like, "You need to throw Molotov cocktails at cop cars."
That is not the video we are looking for. Oh, I'm glad he's not like that anymore.
Are we even allowed to laugh at that legally?
I don't know. Well, we turned him AC, so we saved the police for whatever
Uh,
Cosmic Operations is going to do.
Thin blue line.
Okay, that's so funny, dude. That was not what I was expecting.
Fuck.
Oh, Cosmic Operations posted another one of Halali. I can't find this video of Hassan. It's a bummer. I would really like to see it.
Oh, I know who posted it. It was Jackson.
Oh, Jackson posted it?
Yeah, it was Jackson's Twitter. I mean, TikTok. Let me see if I find it.
Yeah, find it. I'm gonna answer the super chat. You can look for it.
Yeah.
If you can look for it. Jason, thank you, comrade. Always good to see you, Jason. Could Maduro have secured aid from Cuban security forces to root out the traitors? Cuba is still surviving. Solidarity. Good question. I think Cuba's probably too focused on its own internal security right now. Because they're still under, the embargo, which is even more stringent than the sanctions on Venezuela. They've faced multiple coup efforts and color revolution efforts and U.S. infiltration, similar to what Venezuela has faced. So I don't know if Cuba has like the military resources to spare right now that could help. Cuba's also technically, geographically a smaller country than Venezuela. I think they're getting about as much support from Cuba, Russia, Iran, and China as they can. But those countries doesn't seem like they're going to get fully involved, boots on the ground, troops to Venezuela, that type of thing. They're just going to give them diplomatic and military support, give them weapons and things like this. So, yeah, I mean, Cuba after the revolution, yeah, they got involved in Angola and stuff, but we're a long ways from that, and I think they're just trying to survive themselves and are probably worried about their own coup effort. But yeah, good question, especially given Cuba's history of foreign policy. It's just they're so limited in what they can do, being an island that's under satanic military siege, to use that word again, or economic siege rather.
By the way, Kyle, send it to both of us. I put it in the private chat.
Oh, thanks. Oh, it is Cosmic Operations?
Yeah.
The GOAT.
There was another one that I saw. That was on Jackson's TikTok.
But no,
they're talking about Brillium too. Okay, we could talk about this as well. This guy, Brillium, wanted to debate me like a week before he got exposed as being like a cross-dresser and like a former gender fluid, sex fluid leftist. So he's like a Groyper JQer now, far right-winger. And he wanted to debate, and then he got called out for being formerly like a cross-dresser and a leftist, and all the right-wingers were attacking him. And then I hit him up like, okay, let's do that debate now, but he hasn't responded yet.
No way.
Probably because it would be bad optics for him to debate me. But yeah, this guy DM'd me wanting to do a debate like a week before he got caught being a former cross-dresser. And again, another example of a hyper woke gender and sexual politics obsessed leftist who becomes a JQ fash. Like, the pipeline is so real, you guys. And I want, if only there was a buff Arab man who would have explained how that works years ago.
Who could have thought? It's so surprising.
Shocking.
People might not know this, but you know who is a reply guy of mine? Was Jason Hinkeldink. Jackson Hinkle. Jason Hinkle? Which one was, what was his name? The ACP guy. Yeah. He was a big time, like he would do like ad breaks, dankies, that kind of thing in this chat. And I think also he was who else? I think Haas was in here for a little bit too. Sneeko was another one. Yeah. Hinkle would post poggies in the chat. Yeah. There's a lot of side characters that have come from this community. I'm not, I'm ashamed. You mean the Houthi guy? Yeah, I mean, that was the coolest thing that he's ever done. I will recognize that. I will recognize. Reply guy, dude, Jackson Hinkle was a Hosquarter. Yes, that is definitely the coolest thing that a Hosquarter has done, myself included. That was objectively a cool thing that he did.
Why do you hate him then? He's a former member of your community who almost got killed by Israel for going to Nasrallah's funeral and meeting with the Houthis. What's wrong with him then? What's the actual point of disagreement? Why are you ashamed that someone like that grew out of your community and moved past your stupid liberalism? You should be proud. He went from he took the Hassan to Midwestern Marx, or the Hassan to infrared pipeline that so many people have taken. Should be proud. Should join us.
Though, like being here shortly or being a real viewer, I mean, you make up your mind. He was in the Discord, and not only was he in the Discord, but he also was.
This is true of a lot of people, by the way. There's a huge Hassan to Midwestern Marx pipeline, and these people, we basically just beat the liberalism out of their heads, is what happens. We take them from this social democratic liberalism of Hassan to a real Marxist-Leninist position. Yeah, I've always talked about how that pipeline exists. Hassan is a lot of people's first introduction to socialism in America. It's just a fact.
Oh, here it is. Hassan Piker is allowed to have a nice home. Jimmy Dore is allowed to have a nice home. Marxism does not oppose wealth. It opposes exploitation of profits. Let's focus on the real issues. Hassan Piker, 2 years after that. Hassan Piker is Adolf Hitler with painted fingernails.
Based and true. You see Jackson's evolution as he realized that this woke to fash pipeline exists. Real quick, thank you so much, Red Maze. $100. That is too generous, comrade. We really, really, really appreciate that. You have no idea how much that helps with the work that we're doing. So you're always extremely generous, and I just really appreciate it. Yeah, you guys are the funders who make our project go. None of this would happen without you. We would have to work real jobs. We do work jobs, but we would have to work a lot more than we do now, and we wouldn't be able to do these streams. So super grateful. Can't put into words how grateful I am for a gift that generous. Thank you.
Perma, so desperate for viewers, you're leeching out the Hassan Discord. Don't quit your day job, brother. Okay, well, guess what? He got banned permanently from the Discord, and he actually did quit his day job. He used to be a Bernie bro. He quit his day job. CIA stole a community member? No, after the Houthi shit, I don't think he's CIA. I think he's FSB.
He's not, by the way. That would be sick if he was. He's not.
Yeah, I pushed him into Vladdy Pooh's arms, dude. To Adolf Putler's arms.
Oh my god. Okay, that's enough of that. He's getting there, I guess. It's better than before. Still not great. I was expecting him to be a little bit more generous than that. But I mean, there you see it. Like, yeah, I support Jackson in practice and everything he does in practice, but he made fun of me for painting my nails, so he's right wing and Putler.
The edit that Jackson made, I can't find it. I think it must have been brought down for some reason, but it was only emphasizing the more positive stuff of what he said.
Oh, that's what Kyle says. There's more. I'm sorry, I X'd out too soon. I just get annoyed listening to Hassan, but we can finish.
Anyway. He was a Jimmy Dore fan and was on a show a couple of times because of Tulsi Gabbard, but left because he kept shitting on Jimmy Dore. Oh, cool. What Houthi shit? I missed a whole year of streams. Oh, he literally spoke in Sanaa.
Yeah, I think Jackson flipped over the Syria issue.
I shit on Jackson Hinkle Dink quite a bit. Okay. However, that was fucking boss mode. That actually made me very jealous. That was the most lemon bro I felt. That was cool as fuck. Okay. That was cool as fuck. Yeah, he got the knife and the gear and everything. That was dope. Why was he able to give a speech? Because he's a fucking based anti-imperialist white boy. Because he got mad play with the Bangladeshi unks, okay? Yeah, this was sick. This was sick. This was sick. No.
Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! Free, free Palestine! I am so honored to be here. I have never met a...
You got mogged here, not gonna lie. Oh, so mogged. It's not even a fucking question. This is this is straight up one of the coolest things that anyone has ever.
Just join the cool side. Just join the cool kids club. You can see Haas said the most perfect thing the other day, and I've been repeating it over and over. There is a based Turkish tanky hiding inside of Hassan Piker that's been covered up and hidden with this Western liberalism that he's been inundated with from developing and growing up in the Western left with Cenk Uygur as his uncle. But there is a Turkish tanky inside him that he needs to embrace and become. And then this will be you, Hassan. Your audience will continue exploding instead of plateauing like Jackson's is. You will be speaking in front of the Houthis. You have to actually be an anti-imperialist. You can't be a pseudo anti-imperialist. Like, yeah, I'm anti-imperialist, but Putin is Hitler, and let's force LGBTQ values on Africa. I don't know if Hassan says that, but you have to abandon this liberalism. Like, the reason you think Jackson looks cool here is because Jackson is cool. Jackson is one of the coolest, most humble, most morally upright, admirable men that I've ever met in my life. And I say that with no exaggeration. I truly mean that. The more that I've gotten to know Jackson Hinkle, the more respect I have for the man. And if you would just abandon this liberalism that you have, Hassan, and this audience capture that you have where you feel like you can't anger your audience by hanging out with the wrong people, you would realize that as well. I promise. You would also realize he's not FSB, he does everything on his own, which, I mean, the first time I met Jackson, he was editing something on Photoshop, and I'm like, oh, you actually don't have like a team behind you? You do all this yourself? He's like, yeah, bro. So, yeah.
Yeah, I would second all of that. The other thing that people don't know about Jackson, and they would 100% not get from just like TikTok viewing of him, is that he is so open to talk and make friends with anyone. We were in Venezuela with people who had just sworn war on the ACP, and he was befriending them. And these are people that were staunch ops, or at least were tied to organizations that swore to be our biggest ops, especially internationally. He just went up to them, spoke to them, was very kind, and befriended them. Because that's the guy that he fucking is, and he is that with everyone. And if we had that unity of Jackson and Hassan as two different pipelines for the ACP, there's nothing that we can't do in this country within 5 to 10 years. You know, we can be getting congressional seats. We can be doing a million different things if we had those two different pipelines for this actually alternative, anti-war, anti-imperialist working class party.
Absolutely. I see people saying if Hassan goes to ACP, will deprogram guys follow? Probably. Do you know how much of a wave that would be? Do you know what that would do for us? It would crush the stigma that the ACP are homophobic, anti-LGBTQ, anti-whatever, that they're a bunch of bigots. It would crush that. And we would get a massive wave of new supporters because there are tons of people on the left. I talk to them every time I go to college campuses, especially. Tons of people who want to join the ACP, but they're scared of offending their social group because their social group is a bunch of leftists. So, you know, it would create a wave. And I see people saying, guys, you should do a popular front. I'm so down. I'm so down. We don't have any problem with Hassan having a different view than some of us on, you know, abortion or, you know, the fact that he talks about culture issues more. If he was willing to fight for our program, which is anti-imperialism and the struggle of the working class, absolutely. We don't give a shit about these culture war distractions on either side. But these people, for a while, have treated us like, you know, we need to be held at arm's length because we're secretly evil or something. And they're finally starting to realize slowly that it's a bunch of bullshit. We actually care about the class struggle and fighting the empire.
We're done, in my opinion.
People.
I said it at the time. I straight up admitted it. I was like, nope, that's it. This is also when I realized he's probably not an American spy because the Ansar Allah movement would not fucking have this guy anywhere near them. And likely is you getting called a terrorist while he's doing this? I mean, why can't you do the same? I don't know, because I live in the United States of America. Have you thought about that? He doesn't. I think he lives in Russia now.
America and the Zionist entity fears Yemen more than anyone else. أمريكا والصهيونية والصهاينة يخافونكم
That's so based.
Because the people of Yemen fear nobody but God. لأن اليمنيين لا يخشون شيئا إلا الله.
That's so sick.
Do you know what they're shouting there, Carlos?
Yeah, I do. But
Down with the Zionists, we'll say. That's the PC version. Down with the Zionists.
oh,
Shout out to him.
I don't think he's CIA, but how the fuck did he do this and then come back to the US without any issues? He never did. I don't think he did. He did not. I don't think he's been back to the United States since he fucking went to occupied Ukraine.
He's basically occupied Ukraine, bro. Shut up. Why don't you go to the Donbass and talk to the people for yourself? Why don't you go? But anyways, yeah, I mean, Jackson, if he came back to the U.S., he probably would be arrested and questioned immediately. He's basically a political exile, you know, which they act like that means he's a Fed. It's proof that he's not a Fed. If he was a Fed, of course the CIA would let him come right back to the U.S. and he'd be living in a mansion like Hassan. But the reason the CIA leaves Hassan alone is because he doesn't actually threaten them. Yet, it seems like he's moving in a more threatening direction with this. But
Ukrainian territory alongside the Russian military. He lives in Russia now, I'm pretty sure. Wait, but Haas is in America, isn't he? Is Haas also in Russia now?
no.
Y'all are so gullible. Could be fake. No, bro, what the fuck are you talking about? This is not fake at all. You literally spent...
Y'all are so gullible. That's the classic leftist, like making fun of other people and acting like they're dumb because they don't believe a total delusion. Yeah, we edited this. This was me. I'm a real good graphic designer, guys. I was able to edit a million Yemeni people yelling death to Zionism. I wish I could make this.
A week in Yemen.
That's what people
I will,
said
however, say that
about all our
there were
events.
bombing campaigns that took
It was
place
AI.
immediately after he left Yemen, which I thought was weird. They're cooking you. Have you seen this? Cringe LARPer, fighter for the liberation is true. That's unironically true.
He knows now. Ironically true. I do see why Hassan has an audience because of that base Turkish tanky underneath, and like he's pretty funny sometimes.
somewhat self-aware. Yeah.
Right. The liberal stuff is like, and his audience likes that, I guess. So that's where I get turned off and disgusted, or when he talks about Russia. But I don't get the Russia position. Like he's making fun of Jackson for going to occupied Russia. He talked to the people. He talked to the people of the Donbass. We've had a lot of brigades go there, and the people will tell you, yes, we were being murdered by Ukrainian fascists who were installed by NATO before Russia came and helped us. Like this is what happened. I'm sorry. And the people there will confirm that. Not the Russian tour guides or whatever. The actual people living in the Donbass, and our friends have pictures of all the housing and public infrastructure that was destroyed by the NATO-backed Ukrainian fascists. Like they go and get proof. They presented it to the UN. Jackson and Chris Halali and Dan Kovalik, who's not a party member but an ally. They went to the Donbass and reported their findings to the UN. That's not going to occupied, the territory that's occupied, like you're going to Israel or something, or the West Bank and supporting Israel. Like, what are we talking about?
That's real. Yeah, he went to Nasrallah's funeral too. That was pretty goated. I will recognize that too. But Calla Walsh versus Jackson Hinkle, who wins? Oh,
This is interesting. Hassan had the correct position when the war broke out, but he got gaslighted out of it.
I had no
didn't
idea.
know that. That goes to show everything that I've been saying, man, about him for years. Base Turkish tanky inside, good instincts, but is captured by that liberal section of his audience that is so detrimental. And that's why he's plateaued, because nobody likes those woke liberals. But he's like hanging on to them like he needs them. It's like, you don't, bro. You know how fast right-wingers would change their tune and embrace you? If you became a little bit more like Jackson, I don't know.
All we need is a cigar session, the e-board with Hassan, drink some scotch, and that's it.
Let's meet at the Islamic capital of Dearborn, Michigan.
There we go.
Because that'll be symbolic. ACP leadership, Jackson, Haas, me, Kyle, Carlos, Noah. Well, we'll have Jackson zoom in. We'll have some cigars at the cigar lounge. We'll praise Allah, and then we'll go forward and build the strongest communist party this country's ever seen.
Kyle will do a seminar. The soiree starts with Kyle doing a seminar on the importance of smoking.
Yes. The Medical Benefits of Smoking by Dr. Kyle Pettis. Thank you, Jake Holder. Appreciate you. So Americans should want a country giving one of the most sought after natural resources to our global competitors. How's this a better alternative? So Americans should want a country giving one of the most sought after. Oh, they're saying Venezuela's not giving their oil to anybody. They sell a ton of oil to the United States, right? They actually, their number one buyer of oil is the United States. But the United States doesn't want to actually buy it in a legal transaction. They want to plunder it. They want to steal it. They want U.S. oil drills taking it out. And guess who benefits from that? Not you and me. I don't care what happens to that oil, or I do. I think the Venezuelan people should have that oil, but I don't benefit from Wall Street shareholders having that oil. How much did you benefit from the Iraq war, bud? How much did your bank account go up? Did you get this extra $5 from Dick Cheney invading Iraq and give it to us? No, of course not. You didn't get shit. All you had to do was pay for the occupation and send your family members to go get PTSD. And then the oil oligarchs profited from that. So it's not that we get the oil, and this is the framing of Nick Fuentes and the right-wingers, that we need to get the oil. We don't get shit. The working people in either country don't get shit. It's either the working people of Venezuela control their own oil, or U.S. oligarchs control all of the oil while we pay for them to invade and kill Venezuelans and continue to steal it. So you don't benefit from this at all. And that's the big lie about imperialism in the modern day, is that it benefits the people. What did you get? How much did your life improve after Iraq, Syria, Libya? Did it improve at all? I'm willing to bet you $1 million it didn't. And if it did, it was not because of the wars. It was coincidence. So, yeah. Sorry, not to be harsh. It was a fair question, and I appreciate you for the super chat, but I get this argument is so ridiculous that, like, as if we are the Wall Street shareholders who own oil companies. I don't have shares in an oil company. I coach wrestling. I don't give a shit about Venezuela's oil. We can buy it from them fucking like we have been for years. Yeah.
And that's what makes 20% of it, Kyle's saying here, is the Chevron. That's what makes this whole ideology of capitalism supporting markets and competition, it's such bunk. They don't want to actually engage in fair market practices with countries and engage in good win-win trade like China does and like Russia does. They just want to fucking loot your shit and have the formal appearance of it being trade. But it's not trade. It's just plunder, as Eddie said. It's just plunder.
Yeah, and you know what they need oil for more than anything right now? Funding the war in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Funding another war effort that's sucking your tax dollars up. So the American people are hurt by this as well in every way. Thank you, lawns are fun. Yes, absolutely. It's going to be sold by global shareholders in the global market. It's not like that oil is going to be piped from Venezuela into the Midwest so working class people can use it.
I mean, I think Cal Walsh is more consistent, maybe a little too consistent. Anyway, but yeah, where were we? Oh, this is
sorry. There was a recent interview with Kala that I saw that he's on point with that criticism, I think, but Kala's mostly good.
This is the other side of the, former Hasanabi pipeline. Bro, stop. They're going to take this seriously. They've been trying to use you as a conversion tool forever. They have an army of reply guys whose whole thing is painting you as pro-ACP. Oh, that's awesome.
We don't, actually. That'd be a good idea.
They go between saying I'm pro-ACP and calling me the F slur. That's the funniest dynamic. They'll be like, oh, dude, Hassan is actually super pro-ACP. You guys should join the American Communist Party. But then but then they'll also be like, he's also a homosexual liberal and morally degenerate. Undocumented migrants that rape your wife or whatever the fuck they talk about over there.
Bro, what is he talking about? He just makes this shit up.
Yeah, I saw a Comanche
It's always like some schizo too. It's like some random guy on Twitter says something like this, and then they're like, "This is what Eddie and Haas and Carlos believe." Like, this is just some random like guy who was a hardcore Trump supporter in Ohio who we convinced to become a communist, and now he's calling you gay or something. Like, that's not the position of the party.
Roll Lamel. And China to take over. Yeah, you know what was funny? You know what was funny about that? They also are pro-China. Oh yeah, they also did the baristas and nurses aren't real workers. That was really funny. But they also were like, they're pro-China, right? But then they still found a way to like yell at me about my position on China, where they were like, I think Jackson Hinkledink had a moment there because I was like, I don't really feel any patriotism at all for any country, right? And he was like, oh, real socialists, real communists are patriotic.
That's what Mao Zedong said. You're talking about China like you're the expert and you don't know what fucking Mao said? It was Mao Zedong who said that. You're mocking Jackson for quoting Mao as if he's not a real communist who doesn't understand China as well as you? Like, the lack of knowledge, and this is the thing, instead of studying the Marxist-Leninist tradition, he's been hanging out streaming in this leftist cultural milieu. And that's why he's got blocks in his brain where he can say things like that and not realize how ridiculous it is. Not be like, oh, wow, Jackson was quoting Mao. I'm claiming to be the China expert. Maybe there's something to what he's saying about patriotism if Mao said it. Yeah,
it's just rootless. It's rootless cosmopolitanism, man.
Yeah.
When you look at his social positions, his cultural attitudes, it's just based purely on individualism, on severing the individual from any sense of collective bond, any sense of the duties that are tied to those collective bonds, whether it's in questions of the family, gender, the nation, whatever it might be. And it all leads to the same sort of cultural politics, very liberal on social issues and very anti-patriotism, anything that smells like nationalism. And that's the same trajectory that the Western Marxists took. That's where gender theory comes from. All the Frankfurt School people were extremely anti-patriotism. They considered it parochial and old and very limited and vulgar. And no, you have to be a fancy little cosmopolitan like us. We don't have no country. We don't this. It's just a form of petty bourgeois individualism. And hopefully he can shake.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, sorry, I just had that comment queued. I agree with this a lot. It's just sad that they're this wrong about you guys. It is sad, and this is why I've always offered to go on Hassan's show. Like, you can criticize me the entire time. You can criticize me for an hour, but let's talk about what our actual positions are so you can realize, what's true and what's not about us. Let's have a conversation, because he's so misguided about our party and some of the things that we actually believe, like, the thing about nurses and baristas or whatever that he said. Like, we're out here, we helped in the Iowa ACP chapter, helped organize a nurses union. That was like our main work over 2025. But he has this belief in his head that we hate nurses and we're pushing like replacement theory, when that's the kind of stuff, that replacement theory stuff is what we educate working class people out of, who have been inundated with that by Fox News. And yeah, it is sad in a way that they've been so misled, and the potential is there for so much, for such a powerful, or for such a huge growth of a real powerful communist party in America. But these people are so blinded by liberalism and the lies and misconceptions that they have about us, they won't agree to any kind of unity. I have my criticisms of Hassan. I don't agree with him on anything, but I would love to have a conversation and unify on what we can unify on. He's not willing to do that, even though his audience, who knows me from TikTok, because I have a lot of followers on TikTok who don't even know about the ACP or whatever, a lot of leftist followers, they've tried to pressure him to have me on the show many times, and he won't do it, which is the saddest part for me. Where it's like you're so misguided about us, and you won't even open the door to learn that you're wrong, or to have a conversation, find some middle ground. Mao was a well-known MAGA. Don't be ridiculous. Yes, that's right. Mao was reactionary for promoting patriotism. All hail Hassan, the fourth head of Marxism. Thank you, lawns are fun. All right, we can finish this here.
ACP is awesome. They have the funniest, like, Hassan, are you going to respond to the allegations that you're a Nazbal Lyndon LaRouche agent? Wait.
That's funny.
Okay, I'm going to keep it $150. If I am personally a part of ACP, I'm not even bringing up LaRouche, okay? Because let's be fucking real, okay? You don't want your newly converted followers to investigate Lyndon LaRouche to get LaRouche pilled or recognize that you are closer to LaRouche than I ever have been, okay?
Huh?
What? We don't want our followers to read LaRouche, because then they'll realize that the ACP is LaRouche and Hassan is not. Does Hassan get accused of being LaRouche? Do people know who LaRouche was? He was basically like a Marxist-Leninist who was a narcissist, so he like made his own ideology and like tried to sublate Marx and would like beat up communists and was like this crazy, insane guy. Who was we love Michael Hudson. Michael Hudson sued LaRouche. He hated LaRouche. They were like arch enemies. We're much closer to being Hudsonites than we are LaRoucheites. I mean, what he said there, it didn't really make sense. It proves I don't even think these people. I think LaRouche has just become part of the leftist lexicon. It's one of these words that they just say without really knowing the meaning. Yeah, I don't know.
ACP is like being a Bob of Vorkian stand for Zoomers. I don't think they have a lot of Zoomers in their fandom. Let's be real. Personally, I'm shocked and appalled at these race comments by Hassan the Greek. White, you are clearly a Nazbal created by Lyndon LaRouche. Oh, he wasn't saying I was a Nazbal created by Lyndon LaRouche. I think, the misogyny towards POC Womixon clearly reflects you are not the real left. Oh, he was just making a joke. I think he was trying to make a joke.
He doesn't get it because he doesn't know that we get called LaRoucheites, I guess. That was a funny joke by Haas, though. I wish he would have understood it. LaRouche was a fash, bro. Yeah, he started as a Marxist-Leninist, then he was this crazy, like, narcissistic schizo guy who basically acted like fash, beating up communists and trying to lead his own cult, essentially. And those, by the way, the existing LaRouche people, the Schiller Institute, they hate us. They hate us, and they tried to destroy Infrared. They tried to infiltrate Infrared and steal all of his followers unsuccessfully. So I guess Hassan's right. We don't want our people reading LaRouche. I mean, they can read him if they want, but yeah. All right, let me finish these super chats and then we'll wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thoughts on your diet? I'm getting into it, and you are pro. Thank you, comrade. Diet is easy. All you got to learn is the difference between carbs, fats, and proteins. And then eat a lot of lean protein, because when you eat lean protein, it will fill your body up faster than like when you eat sugar, it's the opposite, or chocolate is the best example. It's addictive. And even if you're totally full, your body will usually tell you that you need more until you get like sick. Whereas if you eat a steak, you're going to be full, but it's less calories actually. And your body will use that protein and turn it into muscle. Whereas the sugar is more likely to get turned into fat because it's got more calories per gram. So control your calories. Calories in versus calories out is how you lose weight or gain weight. But then try to make those calories good, lean proteins, so then you'll be less hungry throughout the day, and drink a ton of water. And then when you want to work out, eat some carbs. I would recommend fruits, a bagel or a sandwich or something. Those carbs will give you good, fast burning energy. And then after your workouts, protein. Thank you for that question. I love talking about nutrition. And
if I can add one thing to that, drink more beer. I've accelerated my weight loss in the last 3 weeks, drinking more beer. Down like 25 pounds, and I got like 8 of them in the last 3 weeks. So, and there's scientific proof for this, actually. There was this great Red Guard in the early 70s who did a study. His His name was Ronnie Coleman. And right before a bodybuilding show, which were huge during the Cultural Revolution, he says that when he was finishing his cut, he would drink a lot of vodka so that he could clear out water weight. So yeah, drinking a lot of beer helps you. It's really great for diet. And statistically, people who drink, they live longer.
Yeah, it's true.
And by the way, medical advice. I'm a doctor. So
You saw when I got to college, the sophomores who like 4 or 5 of my best friends in the world were in that class, and I was an incoming freshman. They were like, last year, bro, after a tournament, we all got hammered, but we only drank liquor, and we all threw up, and we made weight. They're like, that's the hack. That's what you got to do. I'm like, I've got some good mentors here at this college. Tell me to drink liquor. It really does dehydrate you, though. And then I know a lot of stories about athletes drinking alcohol. A lot of athletes nowadays, and I tried this at my last competition, worked like a charm. I had cut weight. I was so dehydrated. I was under 5% body fat, literally. I know everyone assumes they're lower body fat than they are. I was under 5% body fat, like skin and bone, shredded. I drank 1 beer, and I had the best sleep of my life. Usually you don't sleep the night before weigh-ins because you're so thirsty and you'll wake up having dreams about drinking iced tea or something or chocolate milk. But I slept through the night from 1 beer because I was like, I drank it, it hit me like that, and I was out. So alcohol isn't all.
There's nothing like the first beer. It's like the best. It's amongst the top 5 things on this planet. This planet has to offer us. The first beer is wonderful.
Agreed.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Great. Many people don't know that Ronnie Coleman actually started bodybuilding during the Cultural
Based.
Every time we get to the end of the stream, I have to say that someone was a member of the Cultural Revolution who
and then I'll make a ChatGPT image. I love it. It's a great
There's
running
people
joke.
taking the advice serious in the comments, which we have to do something about that, guys.
Oh yeah, guys, we were joking. Everything I said before the beer thing was true. Well, oh no, sorry. The other things I said were actually true. But like it's not good advice. I mean, drinking after weigh-ins 1 beer is good advice. That works, or a glass of wine. But
I have lost weight trading in food calories for beer calories. So, but
there you go. And you'll get more drunk. My friend once, he was looking really skinny. I'm like, you start working out, Mark? He's like, no, I just switched beer for liquor. And then he's like, you want some? Just cabinet. Like, you're an alcoholic.
I promise I don't drink that much. I'm not like anywhere near an alcoholic, guys, but I do appreciate.
In moderation and on occasion, there's nothing like it. I'll be honest. It's I don't drink probably once every 2 months, but when I do, it's a good time, and I don't regret it.
Coleman was a natty. I don't know what the fuck people are saying. He was a roid monk.
You don't think that's achievable naturally? Come on, I'm almost there. A few more Planet Fitness sessions, I'm gonna look like Ronnie.
Just some creatine.
Throw an extra scoop of creatine and you'll explode. Any thoughts on FDS in general? I'll zoom with the situation in Syria, also disarming PKK resistance fighters. I haven't heard anything about that. I haven't been following it as close since the fall. I know there's been like still people fighting kind of on the Assadist side. There's been obviously the Al-Qaeda guys and Jolani have been targeting religious minorities and ethnic minorities. Which makes sense that they would target the Kurds. The Kurds always just get kicked around and used as a pawn either by the U.S. empire or someone else. Really tragic people, really. So, yeah, I don't know. I wish I could tell you more. I'm sorry. Do you know, Carlos?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, maybe topic for next stream. I'm worried about protein powders, whey, etc. due to chemicals, artificial garbage, and incorporating 82 milligram natural alternatives. Alcohol is risk. Yeah, alcohol is a lot. Alcohol is not good for you, but in moderation, anything's fine. even meth. Just kidding. I'm worried about.
People seriously cannot tell what's a joke and what's not, and that's so
I know.
dangerous. Because half of the shit we talk about is like joking, and we expect people to know what's a joke and what's not.
It's because like we do the 2-hour stream and we're locked in, and then around the 2-hour mark we're exhausted, and we say all this nonsense, and people are like, "Wait, are they still serious?"
Are they still cooking? Somewhere, someone's notebook, and they wrote down in their notes of the stream, drink more beer.
Protein powders aren't as good as real foods. Try to get most of your protein through real food. Ray Pete doesn't like protein powders because of how they're digested and how they metabolize, but they work. You know, I drink a protein shake every day. You'll find you're supposed to, if you're really bulking like I am now, you're supposed to eat your body weight in grams of protein. So 100 and, well, I'm 190 now. I have been bulking. I can't believe I weigh 190 and I'm still lean. That's crazy. I love lifting weights. But anyways, the eating under 90 grams of protein is hard, really hard. And the only way to make it easier is to throw some shakes in there. So if you're trying to bulk, it's worth it. But yeah, you need real food. I saw our friend Lamar, who's a bodybuilder, talking about this the other day. Like, shakes just aren't the same. It's a good little hack, good little tip. But yeah, try to get real food.
Or the yogurt, Greek yogurt, low-fat Greek yogurt, so that the calories are down. There's
Yeah.
one that I have, Oikos. It's like 23 grams of protein per serving. Maybe like 170 calories. It's basically a fucking protein shake, but without it. And it tastes good. You could eat it straight. I try to put a little bit of honey in it and maybe some fruit, and it's phenomenal. It's a great everyday snack. I literally eat it. I eat it every day. I have a small breakfast, that for lunch, and then dinner, and that's it.
I love those yogurts. Yeah, don't get the sugary yogurts. Get the Oikos. And then if you're looking for other good sources of protein, grilled chicken. I can cook grilled chicken perfectly every time. Cook it for 1 minute high on one side, flip it over and turn it to low, and cook it for 10 minutes covered. Perfect every time. Ground beef, steak, and then like Carlos said, yogurt, and also cottage cheese is very good as a source.
Yeah, and sardines and tuna.
Yeah, fish as well. Yeah, salmon, stuff like that. I eat a lot of tuna. My girlfriend's away right now. My diet has not been what it usually is. Gotten a little bit used to that, having a helper in the kitchen there. A helper as in someone who does everything.
I remember the first 2 years after the Institute was founded, that PayPal, it was like every day, $27 order for pizza. I'm like, bro, how is this guy still skinny? What the fuck? And you're like, well, I don't eat all day and at night. I'll just eat a whole personal pizza with like a brownie or something.
That's what I did for like 2 years. It was that, or I'd go to the gas station and get gas station food, which is like going out to eat every like, it's so expensive. You don't realize it because it's the gas station, but it's bad. My parents have lately been like, why do you look so healthy? I'm like, 100%. My girlfriend's cooking. 100%. My diet got so bad after college. Sorry, one more question I'll answer. Thoughts on the Andrew Wilson guy? That guy is an edgy middle school libertarian. You know that actually kid who you went to college with, who would go, actually, and then say like the dumbest U.S. State Department propaganda line you've ever heard in your life? That's Andrew Wilson, but he's a grown adult. And if you ever want to laugh at Andrew Wilson, this pudgy, fake tough guy, red pill influencer, watch the recent debate he had where he was talking about how women are used up and worthless after they've had another sexual partner. And then the person he's debating goes, doesn't your wife have 2 kids with other men? And he goes, shut up, you bitch. Shut up. You're lesbian. He's like, it's literally like a child, bro. Like a small middle school child who just discovered libertarianism is like, I think the government bad. But then, of course, he supports the war in Venezuela, even though he's a government bad libertarian. Like, just a complete clown of a man who's really, even in the red pill sphere, his reputation is tanked lately because he's such a fraud. But yeah,
not only does he support the war, he was explicitly saying that like killing communists is good.
Right. Which try to kill me, Andrew, you tub of lard.
He couldn't open the tub. I thought it was the clip we were
What?
talking about, the one where they gave him the tub and he couldn't open it.
The pickle jar. And he's like making
it's oily.
excuses.
It's oily, you know.
Oh,
You oiled it up with your hands.
He's literally making excuses like one of my kids do when they can't figure out a wrestling move. Like, it's slippery. I slipped. I'm sweaty.
And then a girl like opened it.
Yeah, the girl opened it for him. So funny. These fake red pill guys are funny. Last thing I'll say, if you want to learn, there's a YouTube channel I follow that makes fun of these red pill guys called Too Lazy to Try. It's pretty good. The number 2, he just like clowns these red pill dudes. I love it.
That's the one with George Costanza's, right?
Yeah, the monotone voice guy.
Yeah.
He just like doesn't give a shit and just like roasts all these people equally and calls them grifters and sees the economic ties behind what they're doing. All right. Well, you got anything else, Carlos? Patreon.com/MidwesternMarks. Subscribe, like, comment, follow us on every platform. Join the ACP.
Hopefully I can get some sleep, man. Yes, last night was traumatizing.
Yeah.
I was
Too tired.
I'm gonna make the salsa version my ringtone.
I didn't even
Oh man, do I have a shirt for you?
You haven't showed that to him yet?
No, I gotta show you.
You gotta break that out on stream, bro.
We'll wear it next time with a suit and then just open it up. We are Charlie Kirk. They played at the thrift store sometimes.
Oh, that's great. All right, everybody. Thank you for your support. We'll see you on the next one. Solidarity with Venezuela. Good luck getting some sleep, Carlos.
Stand up, all victims of oppression, for the tyrants fear your might. Don't cling so hard to your possessions, for you have nothing if you have no right. Let racist ignorance be ended, for respect makes the empires fall. Freedom is merely privilege extended, unless enjoyed by one and all. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. Let no one build walls to divide us, walls of hatred nor walls of stone. Come greet the dawn and stand beside us. We'll live together or we'll die alone. In our world poisoned by exploitation, those who have taken, now they must give. And end the vanity of nations. We've but one earth on which to live. So come, brothers and sisters, for the struggle carries on. The International unites the world in the song. So comrades, come rally, for this is the time and place. The international ideal unites the human race. And so begins the final drama, in the streets and in the fields. We stand unbowed before their armor, we defy their guns and shields. When we fight, provoked by their aggression, let us be inspired by life and love. For though they offer us concessions, change will not come from us.